When you've got a lens that's broken, you probably would go online and start searching for the next best lens that you want to have in your bag. That's not what I did. I've got in contact with a local photography shop here in Kalmthout, and that's also where we are in the Kalmthoutse today. Today I'm going to test out two lenses. The two lenses that I'm going to compare today are the Tamron 70-200 f2.8 and the Tamron 70-400 f4.5 to 6.3. You're probably thinking, go for this 70-200 f2.8 because it's a low light lens. But as a landscape photographer, I'm not shooting a lot at f2.8, but more like f8 to f11. So maybe it's interesting to go more for the 70-400 than the f2.8. But that's what we're going to test today, which lens is the best for me for doing landscape photography. Luckily I found a beautiful subject to help me out with testing out those two lenses today. I've just noticed that I told you guys that I'm shooting with the 70-400, but it's actually the 100-400. So I've got the Tamron 100-400 on here, and I'm shooting this beautiful shaped pine tree. It's like it's shaped by the wind. The branches are going to one side. It's super cool. So I'm shooting at 100 millimeters at f4.3 at ISO 100. The sun is blocked by the clouds, so we just have flat light this morning. I hope it will change, but the clouds are pretty thick. So today is all about just testing those lenses out and not shooting any amazing compositions. I've switched to the 70-200 f2.8, shooting also at 100 millimeters because I'm gonna do an honest comparison. I'm not gonna shoot a lot in focal lengths that those lenses don't have. I'm using the same settings like the Tamron 100-400. I'm shooting at ISO 100, f4.5 this lens because it doesn't go to f4.3 at 40th of a second. The same tree, same subject. So we can compare those two together if there's any little changes in the picture. I've quickly changed compositions because we finally got some sunlight into the landscape. I've already took two shots with the Tamron 100-400 and with the Tamron 70-200. Almost the same composition. I rushed a little bit, so it's a little bit different. Almost the same settings. ISO 100, f9. With the Tamron 100-400 I shot it at 90th of a second, and with the Tamron 70-200 I shot it at 100th of a second. Also because the sunlight is getting a little bit stronger, I guess, so I had to bump up my shutter speed just a tiny bit so it matches out. I shot this picture vertically because we got three beautiful pine trees a little bit further into the landscape, and I only wanted those two trees and the rising sun with some clouds around it to be in this picture, and don't include any other subjects in this picture because it's like a little bit of a minimalist landscape photo. Those three pine trees got lit up by the sun from the back, so we got a little bit of light coming through the pine trees. We still got on the horizon, we got some trees, but it's all about the rising sun and those three pine trees. Let's move on and search for another composition while the sun is getting blocked again by the clouds. Wait. Sorry for interrupting this video. There's something that went wrong. I don't know exactly what, but I don't have the first two comparison photos that I took in this video because maybe there went something wrong with the camera and it didn't save the photos onto the SD card, or I was talking a little bit too much about the lenses and I actually forgot to take the photos. So I don't know what happened, but I don't have the photos. I'm making other comparison photos in this video, so don't worry, you will see the comparison between the two lenses, but not the first photos. And sadly I don't have the lenses anymore, so I cannot recreate this video. Sorry for interrupting, but let's move on with the video and enjoy it. Comparing the two lenses will not be easy today because already looking on the back of the screen I noticed that there's a little bit of change in color. The f2.8 has a little bit more warmer tones than the 100 to 400, and also the 70 to 200 has 1.3 stops more than 100 to 400. So that means with the 70 to 200 you're gonna be able to shoot better in low light situations. So maybe you're doing astrophotography, or you're doing more cityscapes. Maybe you're shooting more street photography, and you want to shoot at a little bit more of the sunset or more at night. You want that 1.3 stops extra into your lens, so the lens is a little bit more light sensitive. But of course, that are not the only differences in those lenses. Both lenses have a VR stabilization system built into their bodies. The 70 to 200 has a better stabilization system, and that means it's easier to shoot handheld pictures with this lens, even in lower light situations. When you're at a party, you're a little bit drunk and you're starting to shake a little bit, you're not so sturdy on your feet anymore, this lens is going to help you out. But for me, 95% of the time I'm shooting from a tripod, so that means I don't really necessarily need that stabilization system, but on the other hand, it's nice to have. And getting close to your subject also is very important in landscape photography, because we also want to include those small details into the landscape. And again, the 70 to 200 wins here, because it can already focus from a distance from 0.98 meters from a subject. With the 100 to 400 you have to be 0.4 meters further away than the 70 to 200. That's also a small win for the 70 to 200. And in the category of weight, the Tamron 100 to 400 wins here, because this lens this lens weighs 385 grams less than the 70 to 200. So that means when you're traveling, you want to go as light as possible. So 100 to 400, that's the win in this category. And you know what they say? Size matters. And that's why the Tamron 100 to 400 wins in this category. It has 200 millimeters more than the 70 to 200. And when you're shooting landscape photos, it's always nice to have that 200 millimeter extra instead of having a low light lens. And when you're doing landscape photography and you're shooting a lot from a tripod, you don't have to look at your lighting situation that much. So the 100 to 400 will be in handy when you want to reach out into the landscape a little bit more and capture that detail, but far away. And talking about far away, here in the landscape, this tree here, we're gonna shoot it with both lenses. First I'm gonna shoot it with the Tamron 70 to 200, and then I'm gonna shoot it with the 100 to 100 and see which lens is gonna be better for the situations further away into the landscape. So this is the first image, 70 to 200. We got a little bit of light shining onto our tree, and we got some foreground elements, the purple heather in this landscape. Let's switch lenses and compare them. I've switched to the Tamron 100 to 400, and immediately I went beyond the 200 millimeters. I'm shooting a little bit over 300 millimeters, so I'm a little bit closer to our subject. Roughly the same composition, but more closer. I've put the tree on the left side of the frame. We still got a little bit of purple heather in the foreground to have a blurry foreground element. Got some beautiful trees in the back, and also less sky, because with the 200 millimeters I framed up my composition as good as possible. But for my taste, I was a little bit too far from the tree, and the sky is just boring. So with having those extra few 100 millimeters, we can go closer to the subject and we can leave out some boring stuff that we don't need. It's a little bit more intimate, this picture, and you can see a little bit more of the landscape around this tree. That's a win again for this lens, to have that extra focal length. This video is made possible by Foto Joosten here in Kalmthout in Belgium. It's a local photography shop. I've told them my story that my Tamron 70-300 is broken and that I'm searching now for a new lens. And for some reason they wanted to help me out with this cool project with making these videos for the search for my next lens. If you are from Belgium, you can participate in a photography competition on the website of Foto Joosten. I will link it down below. Also, if you are shooting analog or you have some older photography gear, they can make everything digital, so they can help you out with a lot of stuff. If you have questions about gear, they will make time for you to talk to you, to see what gear you need and what's the best for you. Link down below. Foto Joosten, the place to be in Kalmthout. You are probably wondering, Joris, what's your choice going to be about those lenses? Although I'm really loving the focal length of the 100-400, I'm also loving the image quality of the 70-200 f2.8. But then again, the combination of the focal length and also the 300 and a little bit of grams less weight in the 100-400 lens, my choice goes out to the 100-400 just because of the focal length and a little bit of weight that's less. I don't really need a nice stabilization in the 70-200 just because most of the times I'm just shooting from a tripod. So the lens that I'm going to buy is the 100-400 just because all of the combinations that are making this lens a little bit better for me. Because I'm doing landscape photography, I want to have a little bit less of weight. I want to have that extra reach of focal length. So instead of spending 1,400 euros on the 70-200, this lens is gonna cost me 850 euros approximately. I hope you had fun watching this video. Had a lot of fun comparing those two lenses together. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next one. Bye. I actually forgot to shoot a comparison image when I was laying onto my tummy. So I'm shooting some purple header right now. I'm not really that stabilization shooting onto a truck. Both lenses have with testing out the two. Luckily I found a beautiful